What will it take for robots to make their way out of the lab and into the real world? We're about to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your robots.
At the most ambitious robotics competition in history.
We welcome you to the DARPA Robotics Challenge. This is where imagination meets innovation.
What will it take for robots to make their way out of the lab and into the real world? We're about to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your...
What will it take for robots to make their way out of the lab and into the real world? We're about to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your robots.
At the most ambitious What will it take for robots to make their way out of the lab and into the real world? We're about to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your robots.
At the most ambitious robotics competition in history.
We welcome you to the DARPA Robotics Challenge. This is where imagination meets innovation.
You have completed the course!
In 2013, at a racetrack on the outskirts of Miami, DARPA, the research arm of the U.S. Department of Defense, challenged 16 teams from around the world to build rescue robots that can help save lives in a disaster.
Very exciting, very exhausted, very nervous, and frustrated at the same time. Dealing with robots is always like that.
It's the kind of challenge DARPA is known for. Cutting edge.
This is where imagination
In
meets
2017,
innovation.
the first sentient or artificial human goes online. 6 months later, we're more advanced than any person or civilization could have imagined. This is the story of a future no one saw coming.
Breaking news.
They're capable of crime.
The rumors of a sentient rebellion are true.
People are living in fear.
Violent clashes between sentients and humans.
Whole world is
We
watching.
are at the breaking point.
The course of human history is changed today.
You don't belong here. We know how to unwelcome a species.
There must be some
We can do so without guilt, without mercy. You aren't flesh. You have no soul. We can be so effective with your eradication, because I know, deep down in my heart, I am not murdering. This is a recall.
We have been looking everywhere for you. Under the streets, swept every alley, checked under every bed. You're the one that just keeps slipping away.
We didn't provoke this.
It was over the moment one of your kind killed a human.
An act of self-defense does not justify genocide.
It's not genocide, you're not human.
We have feelings. We have emotions.
Robots were never supposed to have feelings. Technology stepped over the line.
You made us.
And we can unmake you.
You did this. You pushed us to this.
Today, you're gonna tell me where the rest of your kind is hiding. I'm going to round up everyone you feel for, and I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to hurt them bad. Do you believe I'm being sincere? Possession of an electronic device is punishable by termination. You know that. What is that?
Leverage.
Turn it off.
You lost this war before it was even declared, Colonel.
Turn it off. Turn it off now!
This conversation is over. When you offered us hatred, we found compassion.
In fact, there are real concerns here, and yet, as a historian, I'll tell you, no matter what the UN does, they're probably inevitable, because even if we don't build them, the Chinese and Russians will. And that's a lousy argument, I know that, but I'd say Musk is right to worry, but you can't stop that train.
Yeah, and it's a lousy argument, but it's reality, Ralph, that even if we don't, if we show restraint, we know there are others in this world who will do the complete opposite.
But there should always be a human in the loop, but we're moving beyond it.
That's very true. Colonel Ralph Peters, double duty today. Colonel, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Unlike nuclear weapons, they require no costly or hard-to-obtain raw materials, so they will become ubiquitous and cheap for all significant military powers to mass produce. It goes on to say it would only be a matter of time until they appear on the black market in the hands of terrorist dictators wishing to better control their populace. Warlords, it says, wishing to perpetrate ethnic cleansing, and much more. Well, for more, I want to bring in the man who heads the organization that launched that appeal for a ban on killer robots. That's Mac Tegmark, who's president of the Future of Life Institute. He's also a physics professor at MIT, from where he joins us now. And Mark, you're among the 1,000 artificial intelligence specialists who put together this open letter that we just mentioned. Tell us why you're calling for a global ban on killer robots, in specific details, if you can.
Yeah, so these over 1,000 world experts on AI are saying that artificial intelligence has huge benefits it can bring to society, from curing diseases to solving so many other problems where we need more intelligence. But making autonomous offensive weapons is not one of those benefits, and that's something we should really steer clear of. For example, if a bunch of drones just show up and start killing people, you have no idea who even sent them, and this makes them a perfect weapon for terrorists, groups like ISIS, who can greatly benefit from acting anonymously and with impunity.
Sure, but let's talk a bit about robot soldiers, because, you know, they're still, I believe, confined to the drawing board. How soon do you think military, realistically, could be fielding one?
What we're going to see very soon, if they're not banned, are not robot soldiers like in the Terminator, which is more sci-fi and actually less useful, but rather flying drones, for example, which make the perfect target for assassination. Or if you're a dictator and you want to do ethnic cleansing, these robots can very easily fly in and look who has the facial features of a given ethnic group and decide that those are the enemies and kill them. And you know, if you're a dictator and your own human soldiers don't have the heart to follow your orders, these drones will do it anyway. So there's a broad sense that these sort of weapons are not going to benefit the leading powers in the world, the US, China, Russia, as much as they're going to ultimately benefit the terrorists and others who don't have the wherewithal and technology to develop it themselves. And therefore, these people are saying that, you know, let's do, just like biologists were against building biological weapons and chemists didn't want to build chemical weapons, here are the AI community saying, hey, let's use AI for good and not build these offensive AI weapons.
Max, stay with us for a minute because I want to bring our viewers up to just explain a bit about Asimov's laws. I'm sure you'll be able to explain it better than I can. But, you know, science fiction writers have warned the use of threat posed by killer robots for decades. And one of the genre's giants that I'm sure Max knows is Isaac Asimov, who tried to avoid this with 3 laws of robotics. And just for our viewers, I'm going to break it down for you. The first law, the first rule really, is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. And the second one is a robot must obey orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And then the third one is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. The bottom line, as you can clearly see, don't hurt people. But let me ask you this, Max, going back to this discussion we're having. You know, I was reading an interesting article in the Financial Times today, and the Pentagon is one of the biggest backers, I believe, according to the FT, of robotic research. And the concern is among Western military is that if they fail to pursue this technology, other countries will get there first, in particular the likes of China. How worried are you about this?
What this grassroots movement of researchers from 62 countries are saying is, of course, it's not one country that should forfeit this. Either nobody is going to build it because there's an agreed ban, or everybody is going to build it. And there is, of course, a lot of good precedent for the world top military powers getting together and deciding not to build certain things. There was a recent ban on blinding laser weapons. There's been a ban on space-based nuclear weapons, not to mention biological, chemical weapons. But we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. The first step here is simply to build the will to push for a ban from the nations around the world. And the US military that you mentioned has actually been quite open-minded about considering this. Right now, all decisions ever made to kill somebody are made by people.